Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Steve Markman on the line. He's founder and president over at Markman Speaker Management. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, so I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about these customized one-on-one virtual training sessions that you've been offering your clients and how they're benefiting. But before we do that, let's go a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started really on the speaking path and really getting started with Markman Speaker Management?
Sure, thanks. So basically, I spent the first 15 years of my conference and speaker career on the content side, developing conferences and recruiting speakers for large conferences that were held first at the Conference Board in New York, international organization, and then I was recruited to be the head of conferences for the Interface Group, which produced Comdex, which many of your listeners would know as the largest trade show in the computer industry. For many, many years, they basically took over Las Vegas and at its peak had 200,000 people. So I was doing that for a lot of years and then transitioned to actually representing speakers and teaching speakers when I started my own business.
That's awesome. And let's go. We're gonna talk about the one-on-one virtual training sessions a little bit more in a bit, but I do want to go a little bit further into Markman speaker management. So, and the reason is because there's a lot of, people listening right now that have they want to be in speaking, they wanted to maybe be on stage, they think this is a thing for them, but maybe they don't know kind of how to get started. So tell us a little bit more about like how you've helped individuals through the years kind of get started and grow their careers.
Sure. So my business, Markman Speaker Management, has 3 main components. One is to help executives who want to speak for the visibility speak. So in other words, they're not paid speakers. The vast majority of my business is helping people who are actually not getting paid to speak, but who are using speaking as a way to develop their thought leadership, to get business development, to gain visibility for their brand, and to generate qualified business leads. So companies, mid-sized, large companies, startups, I've worked with people starting a consulting firm at their kitchen table all the way up to Bank of America, IBM, Xerox, PayPal, and many companies across all industries. The second part of my business is, as you had mentioned, a one-on-one customized virtual training session where instead of me doing all the heavy lifting and all the work, I teach people how to get speaking engagements. So it's not about the presentation skills, but rather the processes and techniques and tips of what you need to know and what you need to do in order to attain these speaking engagements. Again, mostly unpaid. They're a way to have sort of marketing, PR, business development, and thought leadership all wrapped up in one. And everybody has different objectives. Some want all of those components. Some have an objective of just one, like just building awareness for the company brand. And then about 2 years ago, I started a one-on-one virtual training session so that individuals, whether they're consultants, entrepreneurs, what have you, who want to get their name brand out there and get business, grow their business through speaking, I teach them how to do that. And then the third type of business that I have is the more traditional speakers bureau, where I have a roster of 70 paid speakers, mostly authors who have written multiple books or former politicians, sports stars, etc., who are chosen by associations, companies, colleges, etc., as keynote speakers. And I help provide those organizations with the speakers that are on my roster. So those are the three components of my business, Adam.
Fantastic. Let's go further into, I know you brought it up, but I want to dive deeper into this. So the customized one-on-one virtual training sessions. You mentioned that first thing, obviously, is in the title, one-on-one. I mean, I think that's unique. So it's not a group session, right? Tell us a little bit more about kind of the function of this.
Right. So what happens is, let's say, I'll give you an example. Last year, a consultant gave me a call. He's based in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm outside of Boston. And he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to want to understand how to get speaking engagements. So he wanted to know how to get paid speaking engagements as for, the book that he was coming out with, and he thought he could command some money doing that and to get exposure for the book. But he also has a consulting business. So he wanted to be able to use speaking as a way to attract potential clients and customers for his consulting business. And so what I did was I sat down with him for half a day. I have a 4-hour version and now a 2-hour version as well. Now, of course, with COVID-19, it's virtual. But last year, he came in, flew into Boston. We sat down for a half day, and basically I taught him how to develop a proactive speaking strategy. It's an 8-step plan that I have, and it includes things like researching, identifying, and evaluating the speaking opportunities that are out there, how to know who to contact when you do identify the right event, and how to shape your presentation content. Because content is king, Adam. It always has been. And even in the speaking world, content is king. Second, you have to be a pretty good speaker. But on the unpaid side, you don't have to be a great speaker. You just have to be a good speaker. You don't want to put somebody to sleep, right? On the other hand, if you have a great gift of gab and you are saying nothing for an hour, that's not going to hold any water. And you've got to have good content, and you have to present a good argument to the conference organizer as to why should they pick you to be the speaker. You may be one of 30 speakers at a conference, but there's probably 300 people who have applied, right? So you really need to have a button-down, really good summary, what we call the presentation abstract, which I help my clients write, that you can present to the organizer to put the best foot forward and know exactly that you have a good chance of getting chosen. So that's what some of the things that I do in that one-on-one virtual session.
Man, that is amazing. And I mean, one of the big things here, though, just to put this in perspective for the audience, because I don't think this was brought up yet, is you're going on doing this for 30 years. You've been in this business for a long time, so you're downloading your brain, your knowledge, and all your expertise in these sessions. Like you can't really put a price on that. You're saving people 30 years of what it took you to build and to understand and to develop.
Yes, thank you. I like to think that what I have to offer is a proven technique. It is based on 30 years in the business of being both on the conference side, so I can help my clients understand how the whole landscape, how the whole conference works, who gets paid, who doesn't get paid, why do they get paid, how much do they get paid, and why should I do it if I don't get paid, and all that's good stuff. And the exhibit side, this is a very complicated business, and it's, by the way, I have to say that there are many, many conferences out there still. So even though we are not doing live conferences, the speaking goes on unabated. There are a lot of speaking opportunities. They're just virtual. That's the main primary difference, right? And we don't know when that's going to change, but there are a lot of speaking opportunities. And if someone can identify those speaking opportunities, which is the same process as identifying the in-person ones, and they are able to adapt their talk online, which with just a few tips it's really not as frightful as a lot of people think it is. It can be done. There's a lot of opportunities out there, even today.
Fantastic. So, Steve, that being said, I could talk to you about speaking all day long, but we're about out of time for today's episode. So if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on working with you and on your one-on-one sessions and just to connect with your content overall, like you said, content is king. What's the best way for them to reach out and to connect?
Sure. So the company, again, is Markman Speaker Management. It's Markman, and they can reach me on my website, which is markmanspeaker.com, or they can email me at s-like-steve-markman@markmanspeaker.com.
Perfect. Well, Steve, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work that you're doing to help the speakers out there. And to my audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Steve, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. Glad to be here.